All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And welcome, everyone. Please remain standing. Yes, it is a pleasure to be buoyed by your recorded applause. You know, it is Tuesday, which brings David Cay Johnston into our midst. The Pulitzer Prize winner joins us in hour 2 today. We'll visit with one of my old friends for just a minute or two. She's got a special event going on in the Bay Area, and a lot of our listeners and viewers are in the Bay Area, so we mentioned, or at least our origin story goes back to the Bay Area, so we like a tip of the cap to the Bay Area once in a while. Kim is here, everyone, and I get a lot of email going, is she going to be with you every day? And the answer is yes, she is, and I love that my Kim is with me every day and keeps us honest. Tony here most of the time.
Thanks, Tony.
He is, as you know, he is the man who works, I don't know, realistically, like 9 jobs, you know, depending on if the baseball season is on. Yeah. Gotta make that money for that Dave & Buster's you're building in your garage, baby.
Pinball's expensive, man.
Yeah. He's got pinball.
Especially when it breaks all the time.
New slot machine. It's all there at Tony's house. So right on. I've got new polling numbers. Bad news for all of you Trump fans. Donald Trump, people are now starting to remember, oh, yeah, I remember this guy is trouble. And the polling numbers reflect that. I also have an update or two along the election wires that Kim will keep us posted on. I mean, there's a lot of attention on this New York election. I get it. There could be a surprise, but I think Mamdani's got this. I mean, if Sliwa wasn't in it, then you could understand how it would be a tighter race and Cuomo might get those Sliwa votes, but I don't see it.
That last-minute endorsement from Trump of Cuomo isn't going to make a difference to New Yorkers. No?
I do hug and kiss that people casually.
The last-minute hug from Trump to Cuomo as they hugged. Yeah, I don't think it's particularly going to be effective. I am reminded of who I am always when I'm wearing this shirt. This is from our merch line, getmarkmerch.com. You can find maybe the thing that works for you. This is just the T-shirt that was, there's no message apart from that. We have also, as you know, T-shirts and merch with message. In fact, I'm drinking from the Peacefully Resist coffee mug.
Oh,
which I love. So,
I wanted to tell you,
yes,
we got some great Mark mail in from Stephen Ironmonger, who's in Japan and
I received a lot of positive letters.
Yeah, that's right. This is pretty cool.
Look at this.
Yeah, his merch has made it all across Asia, and here it is at an Asian religious monument. The Mark Thompson show. Is that a beanie, would you call that? Yeah. Very, very cool. Thank you, Stephen. He's been very good about sending us pictures, not only bringing the merch everywhere, but then photographing it and sending us photographic evidence of it. Very impressive, sir. So thank you, Stephen. If you have our merch and you show up anywhere with it, take a pic. We'll share it here on the air. By the way, I wanted to mention, just because I said share it here on the air, that I got into
I've received a lot of positive letters.
I got into the Home Office a check yesterday.
Oh.
And I'll share it with you tomorrow. It was for $90.
That's nice.
And it really makes a difference because a lot of the time, we don't make a big deal out of this most of the time, but a lot of the time, something happens on the show, we'll be sharing some video with you, and we don't get monetization because we decide that it's more important to share with you the video because of the news story, because of the personality involved. Let's say the Trump interview is a great example from 60 Minutes. We couldn't get any monetization from that show, but we felt it was too important to in other words, CBS and Paramount, they get that. Okay, they get all the monetization from yesterday's show. But we felt that it was too important, and the information and also the subject matter was way too important for us just to pass on it because we weren't going to get monetization. So we let that go. And so it's out there, and our point is, in mentioning this, we feel as though the show and the integrity of the show and what we want to include in the show is more important than always making money from the show. The problem with that is you begin to not have any money if you do that too long. So it was quite beautiful that we got this $90 check-in yesterday, and I just wanted to thank everyone who finds a way to support this show, Patreon, PayPal, and even old school check. If you want to just send a check, you don't trust the world of the internet, etc., you can send me an email and I'll send you the address where you can send a check. It's the markthompsonshow@gmail.com. That's our regular email address. You can also send anything to that address. That is to say, if you have a comment on the show or you want to have a suggestion, people send me articles to read, etc. The markthompsonshow@gmail.com. But that is the way that you can at least initiate a correspondence with me, and I will tell you where you can send a check. So anyway, thank you, all of you who support through Patreon and PayPal. You help offset some of the decisions that we make on this show that just lead to lack of monetization. And as long as I'm at it, smash it.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Thumbs up, please. Helps us in this world of YouTube. And
hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Yeah, let's get this show underway.
Use Mark Thompson.
The Mark Thompson Show. I got look at this, a super chat from Lucy McAllister, my favorite McAllister. Kim is number 2, Kim all McAllister. Right. Lucy is number 1. Thank you, Mark, Kim, Tony, Albert, and listeners. Thank you, Lucy.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Can we send a fruit basket there too, says Tom. You cannot. But what a great
big shout out.
Great thought, Tom. The keeper of the ding is Tom Duesenberry. And happy birthday to Shadow Stevens. That was yesterday. Thank you, Dan. Yes, indeed. Now, I am looking, should I bring Ruth on now, or should I quickly, let me just quickly touch on the fact that Diane Ladd passed away. She's 89 years old, the mother of Laura Dern. She was, this is an Oscar-winning actress, or actor, maybe director. Nominated, and director, thank you. Yeah. She was nominated for, was it Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore? Yeah. And she was in Wild at Heart from David Lynch. And Rambling Rose. She was a real stage actress as well as a film actress, obviously. In other words, her chops were serious. 60 years on the screen. And Scorsese cast her as a fiery, sharp-tongued Arizona diner waitress in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. It was a 1974 film, and it got her Best Supporting Actress nomination. Yeah. She was in Chinatown. And, of course, her daughter, Laura Dern, is a brilliant actress in her own right. Yeah. She was a kid out of Mississippi. Her dad was a veterinarian. And I remember I had her on my old podcast.
Oh, wow.
And she talked about it. It was kind of cool because she came to the studio and we were kind of hanging out waiting for the studio to open up. And so we're kind of just talking. And she has great stories about, she knew Tennessee Williams and she helped rewrite some of Tennessee Williams' stuff. I mean, she's really one of those lives that's just amazing. She got into movies in a Roger Corman B movie called The Wild Angels in 1966. And then just tons of work followed. So later in life, she was in the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Ghosts of Mississippi, Primary Colors, and rave reviews apparently for, and I didn't see this, Enlightened, which was the Mike White HBO dramedy. She played a troubled sales executive who moves back in with her mom after a nervous breakdown at the office. Didn't see it, but she was married 3 times. That's the way to do it. Actor Bruce Dern, William Shea, and then Robert Hunter. There she is. There are the two. There is a Bruce Dern, a young Bruce Dern with her. Anyway, the brilliantly talented and wonderfully deep Diane Ladd passes away at 89. Mm-hmm. The other passing, of course, is Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney, the guy who was responsible for so much of the post 9/11 policy and strategy for handling terrorism. He, under George Bush the Younger, was responsible for okaying and assuming policy control for a lot of the dark ops that he even spoke of in various ways publicly. He said, this is kind of going to get dirty. We're going to have to do some dark things to go after these people. And he was an architect of the war in Iraq. Many would say he was the architect of the war in Iraq. It should also be mentioned that he had immense holdings in Halliburton. Halliburton, the great beneficiary from a corporate standpoint of the war in Iraq. You know, the amount of money that poured into the coffers at Halliburton, it's incalculable. And the whole idea that we have to do whatever we have to do in America, you may not like it, but this is what has to be done to protect our shores, that became sort of his calling card. In fact, he said that the Bush administration had an obligation to do whatever it took to defend America. That's a direct quote. The number of people killed in Iraq, 800,000 people. And that's from the direct war and violence there. And the prisoners taken, the degree to which prisoners taken were actually responsible for anything in Iraq, that became a question that didn't get enough focus. He was a White House aide under Nixon, the youngest ever White House chief of staff to Ford, a member of Congress under Ronald Reagan, Secretary of Defense to George H.W. Bush, and of course, Vice President to George W. Bush, the younger. And again, he was at Halliburton before Bush said, hey, come be my vice president. And then, of course, his daughter, Liz Cheney, followed him into politics as a U.S. House member. And then she went on to be, well, perhaps the Cheney that had, in the end, some degree of moral compass. But Dick Cheney was someone who I would suggest represents the darkness of America, and his complete peace with all that he perpetrated is even more disturbing. He said, I would do it all again. I would go back into Iraq again if we had to do it again. He made these comments publicly. So that's kind of a page of what we're enduring now and experiencing now, you know, that we know better, but better to stand by your decision, flawed as it is, which is a ridiculous idea. Somehow that in the history of looking back at Iraq, you can't clearly see the horror that was perpetrated. Also, the fraud that was perpetrated. Now, I don't expect him to agree to what is clearly the case, that there was fraud involved in getting into Iraq, but the folly of it, the loss of life, the loss of money, the loss of reputation of America. Yet again, America involved in an unholy military conflict that we couldn't get out of. I mean, how many of these things do we have to do before we stop? And Cheney, again, part of that war machine, but with greater darkness associated with the black ops that existed all around the world. The torture regime was something that he was very much part of.
He had, if I recall correctly, a series of heart events. And he had heart problems for a long time. He died at the age of 84, but that seems like he lived a long time with those ailments.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, he had all this problem with his heart, and it was, a lot of people say, oh, you can't kill evil. That's it. I mean, he's got all these, he's in the hospital all the time, but he's never going anywhere. But I do think that, and I get this, and I'm seeing it in the chat, that in the end, Cheney endorsed Kamala Harris for president, said Trump should never be allowed anywhere near the White House. Blue Spark says the same thing. He wasn't 100% bad. He hated Trump, too. I get it. I mean, all right, I give him credit for some clarity of thought on that, but I don't know that that offsets the real horror that was perpetrated by this guy. In any case, how old was he, Kim?
84.
Dick Cheney dead at 84.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I have polling numbers on Donald Trump that you must hear. You should hear them. I don't think Trump wants to hear them. I'll share them with you in just a bit. I did want to touch base with my old friend. This is sort of a look back to my old home in the San Francisco Bay Area. I love San Francisco. I love the Bay Area. And I loved working with this person back at the NBC station in San Francisco, which was a big newsroom, award-winning, every award, Peabody Awards and Emmy Awards, and awards like Murrow Award is what I'm thinking of. I mean, all of this stuff was going on, and in the middle of all of that was this brilliant writer, and she was the belle of the ball. She joins us because she's part of a big event coming up in San Francisco, and I just wanted to spend literally just a couple of minutes chatting with the great Ruth Carlson. Hi, Ruth. Look at you. Nice to see you. Please unmute for the boys and girls to be able to hear you. And I do want to ask you, Ruth, you're quite a prolific author since the days that you were at Cron, and you've been writing about all these treasures of California and San Francisco and the Bay Area. I mean, it's really become kind of an area of expertise for you. Give me the titles of your books. Really tell it all. Can Ruth hear us or not? No. Can you hear us?
I can't hear you.
That's bad.
Can't hear you.
Well, this will be a much shorter conversation if she can't hear us. Tony, any thoughts as to why she can't hear us?
Now.
There you go. Can you hear us now?
Okay.
Yeah, I can. Sorry. Probably my fault.
Give us the titles of your books.
Are you saying wonderful
Ruth.
things about me, Mark?
I did. But I'm afraid that's all the time we have.
Can't hear it,
thank you, Ruth, for being here. No.
That's the problem.
You do a book. One of your books is a secret guide, a secret San Francisco, right? Is that what it's called? Can you hear me
better?
now? Yes. Are you able to hear now or no?
Is that better?
Okay.
I don't know.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can't hear Mark.
Oh, you can't hear Mark?
No.
Huh. Well, this is a very.
I took out my Bluetooth. I thought maybe that was the problem.
Interesting.
Huh.
I heard.
Well, let's all just sit here. I'm going to have another cup of coffee. And Tony, any thoughts?
The fact that she can hear me, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you.
But
Can you hear me?
Mark.
Yep.
but not Mark.
Not Mark.
Well, if you guys could
Ruth,
just
I'll
quickly do the interview with her, and I'll just sit here.
Off, Mark.
Ruth, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Mention her event.
I will mention her event. So you've got 2 books. First of all, author of Secret San Francisco, A Guide to the Weird, Wonderful, and Obscure, and Secret California, same title. Great books. I am in possession of both. And now you've got an exciting event coming up as well. You're part of the Royal Speaker Series. Can you tell me about it?
Yes, I always knew I was royal. It just finally they've acknowledged it. The Royal Sonesta took over the Clift Hotel recently, and before that, Philippe Stark had done a lot of things to the Redwood Room that many locals were not happy with. He had these weird paintings that moved; the eyes moved when you walked, and put all this glass in. And they had these gorgeous, I'm not going to pronounce it wrong, I'm sure, Gustav Klimt paintings, and he hid them up in some attic. So the new owners came in, found them, they put those up, they put in the original light fixtures, they got the Redwood bar back to where it used to be. And most people know the whole room was built with reportedly one tree from Yosemite, one redwood tree. So they're trying to bring that old glamour back. It was built in 1915. And so they said, let's have a speaker series where we make history fun again and bring people in to talk about the history of San Francisco and also what's going on today.
Fun. So when is this event?
It's November 14th and 15th. It is, no, I'm going to forget, 5 p.m. one night, 6 p.m. the other night. It's on the Redwood Room site. Here it is. Let's see. It's
I see it.
6 p.m. Friday and then 5 p.m. Saturday.
Okay. And the website, we can find the more information and tickets?
Yes, the Redwood Room, yes. And it's free. So
wow.
They're going to have specialty cocktails, the Pisco Punch, which supposedly was invented here, the Martini, after it may have been invented in Martinez, we're not sure, and a few other ones like that.
What a fun event. That is the Royal Speakers Series, and what an honor that you get to be included and be part of that. Great.
Oh, I know. That Redwood Room is so historic. I'm really flattered, and then
beautiful.
We're going to have also Oldest San Francisco and Lost Treasures. They're going to speak. So, and also a survivor of Alcatraz, the prisoner who he didn't escape, but he managed to leave. He's going to speak one night as well.
Well, we're going to have Alcatraz back again, I heard. So, how timely.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you on the show. It's wonderful to see your face. And I'm so excited. This free speaker series at the Redwood Room sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, I just want to know what Mark was saying about me when I couldn't hear him.
He sings your praises. He says you work together and you're just so wonderful.
Yes,
and we all agree.
I'm going to our old stomping ground, Crown, next. I'm sure he remembers Crown.
Oh, wonderful.
That's the whole thing. Exactly.
And I'm only, tell him I've only got 5 guys I'm juggling right now.
She always has a lot of men in her life, Kim.
Oh.
There's only 5 right now. You'll have to tell him.
Oh, only he can hear you. Okay. He thinks you're very fancy.
Yeah. Very impressed.
Have to dress up for the Redwood Room. All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye. Thanks for coming on the show. Ruth Carlson, everybody. Thank you.
The Mark Thompson Show.
That was weird. I don't even know how to explain how that might be, Tony.
I don't understand that one either at all.
Well,
at all.
Yeah, I really didn't get it. But I'm glad we got the information out, and it was my attempt to visit with an old friend, and in the end, it just was Kim visiting with one of my old friends, which is fine. So
I like her too, so it worked out.
Yeah, it did work out indeed.
Yeah.
All right, so I really did want to get to some poll numbers and a little bit of what's happening today in some other news. So, all right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
As mentioned, this is election day in America. There are some elections going on. We'll keep you posted on that. Does look as though Democrats may make a pretty good showing, and I say this because even if you looked at no other information than sort of what's being said out of the White House, you would suspect that Republicans' GOP interests are a bit embattled at the moment because Trump is saying already that this election is fixed. And, that's generally the dance he does when things don't seem to be going so well, although he made the comment even before he thought he was going to lose to Hillary Clinton. And even before that election was concluded, he was saying, oh, it's fixed, and, you know, all these people. Then once he won, he had to sort of backpedal, but still do an investigation, saying that 2 million people had voted illegally, etc. But on to the Trump approval rating, which is something else that has been released alongside all the information on elections and all of the world of politics, which is, of course, filled with activity today. The polling here is not the polling that you find in an election. It's the polling that comes with asking Americans to express approval or disapproval of this president. And Donald Trump's approval rating has fallen to one of its lowest points. Only 37% of Americans expressing approval of his performance as president. Here is, that's not good.
And this is their new hoax.
Well, at the beginning of his presidency, he had that kind of honeymoon period. In February 13th through 17th, he enjoyed a 47% approval rating and 48% for the latter part of February. And then even in March, he was still in the 40s, although it started to dip, 45%. Then in April, 41%. What's that, Kim?
He hadn't turned the National Guard against citizens yet, so things were still okay.
It was more talk than action at that point.
Yeah.
Then in July, as Kim has noted, April dropped to 41%. It actually went up to 42%, but then things really fell off the shelf, I think, with the summer and tariffs. I'm reading into these numbers, but tariffs, ICE activities, which are widely decried by Americans. They are not popular, even as Trump leans in and was even saying, we posted it yesterday, we had the video from 60 Minutes during which he said, it's actually going to get more aggressive. It's not aggressive enough. She said, aren't you disturbed by some of these pictures of, people being pulled out of cars while they're taking their kids to school, or some of these mothers being thrown to the pavement and zipped out? He said, no, these people have to be removed from society. These people are criminal, etc. Anyway, now that that's really in high gear, look at the October numbers. His approval rating is 37%. Disapproval of the job he's doing, 63%. This was a survey conducted by CNN and SSRS, and this is really a trend line that should be concerning. And even as Trump isn't concerned because he's busy with self-enrichment, he's busy having finished a new Lincoln bedroom, bathroom. He's building a ballroom, which is filled with grift and hundreds of millions of dollars that will clearly go into his pocket.
I know what happened in October. Maybe America was really upset with the tearing down of the East Wing. Maybe that accounts for the October numbers.
It's interesting that was a big visual, and I think it did disturb Americans. Overwhelmingly, it polls badly. There have been polls on it. But I think it's the collective, I think it's in the aggregate, right? I mean, I don't know. This country surprises me, and it only surprises me in the weirdest and most depressing ways. So maybe you're right. Kind of the thing associated with imagery that punched through was the thing that, said, that's enough. You can deny poor people. You can set tariffs in motion. You can begin this inflationary spiral. You can deport people who are totally innocent. All right. But when you tore down that East Wing,
now you've really done it.
Yeah. The current polls reflect inhumanity, lack of morality, the threat and grift that fill the air every day, says Vilma. Thank you for the super chat. And I think you're right. I think those policies do reflect these things. Now, I would say also, and you know where I am, and I'm going to keep hammering this, so prepare for hearing it in different ways. But the policies that he has, the extrajudicial killings in Venezuela, off the coast there, and the saber rattling of Canada, of Mexico, getting into trade wars with countries that have been traditionally allied and dependable trading partners, kicking up more sand into the faces of weaker countries in the bullying that is Donald Trump. I'm thinking of Vietnam, other countries in Asia, even big countries like India. I mean, you're an idiot to take on India. You can find all kinds of ways to do business with India. And by the way, the leader of India is kind of Trumpian. You guys should be able to sit down and sort of, compare bullying notes. And I'd say that all those things are pretty awful. His ICE policies as well. But again, this is the thing I will underscore. The thing that's really going to win you an election, and the thing that's easy to understand, and Democrats should get some handle on how to frame it, is corruption. This is a corrupt administration, more corrupt than any other administration in the history of the U.S., and you should, Democrats, figure out a way to tell the story. It's not hard, because it's so blatantly corrupt. Even the tariffs and tariff policy is corrupt. So they've taken public policy and they put it out for sale. And that is everything that this administration is doing. Even the ballroom. Funded by Palantir, funded by Apple, funded by Google, funded by Meta, and funded by other high-profile donors, some of whom we'll know about, some of whom we won't. What do you think they're funding that ballroom for? You think $25 million is just donated to the ballroom because Google feels or Palantir feels that, yeah, a ballroom would look good alongside the White House? No, they want something for that. Why did Paramount cancel Stephen Colbert? To get something from the president. Approval of the Skydance merger. These are things that are right out there. This is a transactional administration. And you can say politics has always been corrupt. Biden was corrupt. Kamala Harris was corrupt. The Democrats are corrupt. The Republicans are corrupt. Of course, there is truth to that. But there are degrees of everything. And the degree of corruption here is insane. They have cranked corruption up to 11. And it's on full display. And that is something that Democrats should make something out of. Now, when we talk about the poll numbers, I don't know how much of that is corruption. But I'm just saying when we're trying to read into them, on some level, you are seeing an insane amount of corruption.
Randy says, it's not corruption if it's right out in the open, is it? At least that's the opinion he read in the San Jose Mercury today. Trump supporters don't have an issue with what Trump is doing out in the I guess, light of day.
Well, I mean, it's true that it's a new sort of take on corruption that brings it way out in front and sort of suggests, if it's corrupt, why would I be doing it right in front of you?
Right, right.
I mean, their ICE head, the guy who's leading up all the policy, he took $50,000 in a bag. $50,000 cash from FBI agents. He was part of a sting. He was in a sting because there had been many reports of his corruption. And sure enough, he was corrupt and is corrupt. And he hung on to the $50K and they made the investigation go away. I mean, I'd remind people of that. To me, it's just so nakedly awful. But in any case, this approval rating thing, you can play this game all day, and I know it's a little bit of kind of political porn for many, because see, he's not popular. If the election were held tomorrow, he would lose. First of all, I don't know that he would lose if the election were held tomorrow. I mean, this guy's got he's got a fervent area of support. I'd suggest he probably would lose. And again, it also depends, who he's running against. But I do emphasize in this context, the poll numbers, that stink will spill over onto the GOP, and they know it. And I'll talk to David Cay Johnston about this as well, but I'd say that might be a big takeaway. We all get it. People are sort of now going, oh, I forgot. He's really bad at everything. He doesn't know anything. He's smack talking, and he just deported my maid and my kid's arithmetic teacher and people who've been in this country for 3 decades. But I'm on it now. Now I understand. I would say that Republicans are going to pay a price for this. And so Republicans at some point have to, even though he says he's getting great polling numbers and he says the economy is great, Republicans have to confront the fact that that's just not the case. And there are going to be more and more of these ICE interdictions and more imagery, I guess is what I would say, that's going to be disturbing. We have some in a second that I'll share to you. The clear violation of the emoluments clause. Yeah, well, I mean, the emoluments clause left the building.
That's way back when, yeah.
Like an hour after he, not even before he came into office. You know, the millions and millions he got for the inaugural. And then, of course, yeah, he's just taken more in the way of every kind of gift and grift. And I mean, you know, this is for us who follow this stuff, but the idea somehow that Hunter Biden was this awful essence of corruption in Washington because he traded off of his dad's name. And, you know, I agree. I mean, I think that it shouldn't be legal, but it is. But the Trump brothers make that look like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It's like, hold my beer. I'll show you how to really trade off your dad's name. We're going to set up World Liberty Financial, a platform on which you buy crypto, and we're going to put out meme coins. In other words, you're going to buy them on that platform, and it's our meme coin that we own. And so you're buying the meme coin, so we make money that way, and you're buying it on our platform, and we make money that way. And by the way, if you sell the coin, we make money because you sold it on my platform. They have figured out a way to funnel billions of dollars into the Trump coffers. Not only their money, but also Donald Trump's money. And then into World Liberty Financial, you have huge amounts of money going in, billions of dollars. Look at the guy from Binance. The guy from Binance who was just pardoned, he was one of these huge donors, almost $1 billion.
Trump didn't really know who he was, right? I mean, whoopsies.
Yeah. I mean, this is the other arithmetic that's done. Vilma says, we impeach Trump and then we get, well, first of all, you're not going to be able to impeach Trump. You don't have the votes to, you don't have the votes to impeach Trump. You have the votes, well, first of all, you don't have the votes to actually impeach him, but what you mean is remove when you say impeach. Of course, impeach is just the beginning of the process, but you don't have the votes to remove him. We impeach Vance, and I see. And then we get Vance, we impeach Vance, and we get Johnson. How does that help us? I mean, we're not going to impeach anybody. They're just not, you can, but I take your point that the pipeline is filled with, a rogues gallery of bad. So there is that too. I would say, though, that the more it's going to be a power grab, and it's going to be, and it's ongoing, but it's going to be a little harder for them if they were to lose Trump, because Trump is charismatic. I've said this, and I always get a hard time about it. He's a generational political figure, and his ability to cut through and say stuff and have all of these morons like Mike Johnson fall into line, have an entire House and Senate fall into line. He's intimidated all of them. They are scared. They're scared both politically. They're scared physically. They're scared reputationally, like how he might call them out on social. I mean, they've just never seen a bully like this. And so they're going to have some decisions to make, but that's about the harm, the reputational harm to them, because he is getting increasingly unpopular. But more to your point, Vilma, and to others, I think when Trump goes, it's going to be a body blow to the GOP, because they don't have someone with that kind of charisma right now anyway, like waiting on the bench. So I wanted to quickly look at, because I mentioned ICE, an ICE video. What was is that the video I have today? I wanted to share, Tony. Is that the one? I think. Let me show you this. ICE
with the car.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's this is. This is one of those.
Video too.
What's the other video?
I found the full length.
Okay. We were looking at this before the show. I have to tell you that. There is some ICE video out there of these takedowns and of these arrests and detentions, And some of it is so bad, I just can't even share it with you. It's heartbreaking, all of it, but it's a little like how I feel about animal cruelty. You know, the PETAs of the world and other animal activist outposts of the world, they post on social some stuff, and I can't even watch it. It's so horrible. The factory farming, all of this is so horrible. And I hate to put it in the same category, but I mean, I'm trying to describe how moved I am by it and how repulsed I am by it. And it's so bad. So I was going to send something to Tony last night. I said, I don't think I can send it. I just can't show this on the air. It's too much. So we're going to show you this, which again is its own version. It also has some kind of weird thing we were arguing about, like who's cutting off who and whatever. But this is an ICE interdiction. This is in Chicago, right, Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah. So take a look, and this is again. We'll let it run. I'll try to describe a little bit of for the people who are just listening on podcast. But it's taking place in. It looks like what is it? Is that a parking lot?
I think it's an intersection.
Okay, intersection. That white car you see pulling back, it looks white silver. That is ICE. They've arrested a couple already. You can see them leading a guy down the street. Just out of the screen on the left. There he is. You can see him in the white T-shirt. And then the honking of the horn is something that is done by a lot of bystanders. You can see ICE blocking the street with that truck. Now this is an SUV is what they're driving. Now they turn. Now they cut off or crash into a black SUV. And in the black SUV, that's what he's yelling. You can hear hit and run. They stop in front of the black SUV. And they get out. They're fully, yeah, they do have those assault rifle type things. I don't know, Tony, you probably know what the weapon is. It's like that, you know. It's like a shorty semi-automatic.
You hit her. Yo. You hit her. You hit her.
Everybody's saying you hit her. Now they're pulling this lady out of the car. There's three of them and then one standing guard. Here comes another. So
y'all hit her. Y'all on camera. Leave her alone.
She's trying to hang onto the steering wheel, it looks like, and then they're pulling her out. Two huge dudes are pulling on her legs.
Crazy. Y'all got no heart, for real. No heart. No heart. She's a female. You guys hit her. How you guys gonna arrest her? You guys hit her. Man, how y'all gonna arrest her, man? Oh, bogus as fuck. You hit her. You guys hit her. You guys hit her. Whole lawsuit right there.
Believe that. I'm telling you. Don't get your issue. Keep fucking around in Chicago. Keep fucking around in Chicago. Hey, baby girl, you good. Don't worry about it.
Stop resisting.
Don't worry about it. We need that information, bro.
Bogus as fuck.
They end up taking her away, Tony? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it looks like they did.
You guys are bogus as fuck.
So they get into a white SUV. It looks like a residential kind of SUV, like just a civilian SUV.
No.
They got out with the markings on their uniforms of...
yeah, they hit her car. They bogus.
Fuck the border control, bitch ass motherfucker. Hey, make sure she got all her personal information on it too, bro. You hit her.
You guys hit her.
Chicago citizens are really ballsy, yelling at all those people with guns. I have to give it to them.
Yeah, it's a question as to whether or not this stuff makes a difference, but I think these images do matter, you know.
That's the car there at the beginning, so.
Right. The reality is that it was threatened by the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. It was threatened that you ICE agents and you Border Patrol people should know, if you come to Chicago and you pull this stuff, this illegal stuff, with tear gas and some of these detentions that you've perpetrated and that you're performing here on the streets of Chicago, we will prosecute you because you're violating state law. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that happen yet. I loved it. It was a real great moment when Pritzker said, hey, this is a note to all of you ICE guys and Customs and Border Patrol people. Donald Trump can pardon you for the crap you're doing, but you will be prosecuted in the state of Illinois, and Donald Trump cannot pardon you for that. And we will prosecute you. Now, here's the problem with that. I mean, again, it's a great thing to say, but you'd need cops there in that particular situation we've just seen to arrest those federal officers. I mean, if they're federal officers, I don't know. I mean, again, I think there's vigilanteism. I think there are a lot of these guys in these uniforms. They're all armed up. But let's assume they are. You'd need cops to try to detain and arrest these guys. And as you said, they're all carrying assault weapons. So I don't know where that goes, but it's really ugly right now in Chicago. I was just reading a piece from The Economist, actually. It was a couple of days ago. About Halloween. I mentioned this on the show the other night.
Did you see that? Man.
Remember, that's that guy Bovino, Greg Bovino, the senior official at Customs and Border Patrol. He was ordered to actually go to court every day because he was violating the basic court orders on what you could do and couldn't do. That Judge Ellis. The incident that Ellis talked about was when federal agents, confronted with the threat of middle-aged dads shouting at them, lobbed tear gas grenades just as a crowd of children in costumes were gathering on the street for Halloween. Quote, these kids were tear gas on their way to celebrate Halloween in a local school parking lot. I can only imagine how terrified they were. At that hearing, neither Bovino nor the lawyers representing the government disputed any of these specific facts. This is an event in Old Irving Park, a quiet neighborhood on Chicago's northwest side, just one of at least 5 where officials from Customs and Border Patrol threw tear gas at seemingly peaceful crowds. This is Operation Midway Blitz, that's what they call it. Started in early September. And again, Judge Ellis was then overruled to the point that this Bovino guy didn't have to go to court every day. But Bovino's a thug, straight up thug. According to court documents submitted to Judge Ellis by the plaintiffs, one agent also pointed his rifle at a protester and told him, bang, bang, you're dead, liberal.
Nice.
I never expected to be tear gassed on a street of multi-million-dollar houses, said one woman. Remarkably, even Mr. Bovino himself on October 23rd was caught on camera at the front of a phalanx of heavily armed officers throwing a tear gas grenade in Little Village, the heart of Chicago's Mexican district. As Judge Ellis noted, he did not appear to issue a warning as required by the restraining order. He also lobbed the grenade over the heads of the crowd, which the order also forbade. A DHS spokeswoman said that he did so only after somebody threw a stone that hit his head. But the department has provided no evidence of this. It is And by the way, there was no evidence, and they because of that accusation, they went to professional photographers who were there, people filming on phones. They couldn't find any evidence of a stone being thrown. This is pure intimidation by show of force. These are federal agents trying to intimidate a local population. And I will say that I think that's him, Greg Bovino, and he is a thug straight up. I think these photographs, I think these pictures, I think all of the ways in which these things are documented, in the same way that we got pictures and documentation of what was going on in Vietnam in the 60s, and that changed public sentiment. In this case, you don't need public sentiment change. Already public sentiment is against these ICE raids. But I think this will only serve this documentation to amplify what is already a public that's sour on this. So it will amplify the degree to which people are disgusted by this and repulsed by this and angered by this.
Did you see on Halloween, since you mentioned the attack on Halloween, the pictures of ICE agents allegedly wearing Halloween costumes?
Yeah, didn't we have that? We were going to run it, I thought. I mean, it's kind of, you talk about trolling. Yeah. You talk about trolling. These guys, supposedly ICE agents, again, who knows what the, I don't know what everybody's official status is, if they're actual federal employees or if they're just contractors or what. But as they were driving around, they were wearing the mask. Look at that. That is the mask.
It's a Chucky mask, right?
Is that it, Tony? Is that a Chucky mask?
I don't know. Can't really tell.
Thanks, Tony.
I can't really tell what it is, but it's a Halloween mask. It's like a demon mask.
Can you zoom in on that, Tony? Imagine that guy coming at you.
I mean, it's all just, look at that. That's just effed up, man. That's really effed up.
So this is caught in LA by local news crews in LA, and they reach out to the Department of Homeland Security saying, why are you, are your people wearing these masks? And the response from the Department of Homeland Security is, Happy Halloween.
Wow. That is just, that is just about as nakedly awful as you can imagine. But, well, the U.S. citizen shot from behind. He was shot from behind as he warned ICE agents about children gathering at a bus stop is just the latest. This happened. Where did this happen, Kim? It's this guy. Let me just see. It was. I think it was in Ontario, which is like just east of San Francisco of Los Angeles.
Right. Yeah. This guy pulls over to warn a group of federal agents that they need to kind of wrap up and end their stop of a car quickly because there's a bunch of school-age kids that are gathering at this area to take the bus. So they wanted the officers to know, listen, whatever you're doing, just to let you know there's a bunch of kids coming up here. So just, because that's disturbing when kids are seeing all this stuff. So, if you can, finish it up because you got a bunch of kids headed your way. And apparently they didn't like that. And the following moments, the attorneys for this man said an ICE officer shot this man who was offering the warning, who is a U.S. citizen and a father of 3, from behind. Looks like he was maybe hit in the leg. He was saying, excuse me, can you guys please wrap this up? And a masked agent, according to this man's attorney, pulls out a gun and exchanges some words. The agent is also shaking his pepper spray. The guy is in fear, trying to get out of the situation. The agents in their cars had blocked one southern lane and jutted into a second lane. He had to try to reverse to get away. There was a shot from the side back passenger window to the car. This is all what happened to this man. So, allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because, he did pull over. He's in a car, okay? He pulled over to warn these Homeland Security people that the kids were coming, as Kim says. But the reason that's important is they are characterizing the fact that he was in a car as he was trying to run them over.
Right.
And so, now that they've shot the guy, they need to come up with the story, right? And so, I mean, it just seems clearly that I say clearly, to me, I just don't buy the idea somehow that, you needed to use deadly force in some way to handle this situation. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. He lives nearby on the same road, and he approached these officers just to say, hey, these kids are coming, and they're coming out to wait for the bus. So, and this is it. He was telling them, this is a quote, "Excuse me, can you guys please wrap this up?" And immediately, apparently the masked agent pulls out a gun and exchanges some words, according to the lawyer, and also shaking a pepper spray at him, according to the lawyer's account. And I guess that he was unable to get away, and then it turned into a situation in which there was shooting.
Yeah, I said shot in the leg, but it doesn't note what body part he was shot in. We know he survived. This guy was on his way to work at a food bank.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, this is like it feels almost like a made-up story. I mean, he's so a force of good, and they are such a dark force of evil. It's an incredible juxtaposition to the point that you'd think it's almost like it's scripted out of a movie. He's on his way to work at a food bank, and you guys are there to hassle people who, lawfully pursued life in this country and fled horror in their own country. I get it. There are legitimate violations of visa stays. There are legitimate reasons that ICE agents can operate, but this is absolutely off the scale, ridiculously horrible. I mean, it really has a quality of utter ridiculousness to it. You're pulling people out of cars who have been in this country for 20, 30, 40 years. You're grabbing landscapers and car wash employees, people making nothing, maids and hospital workers and daycare employees. Absolutely awful. And it will continue, and it will become even more aggressive. So all of that is on the radar, and it will affect not only the fabric of America, but will affect America's dispositions to the ruling party, and that is the GOP. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
So if you are politically active and you are interested in how these things have some sort of political ripple effect, I'd suggest it's the lack of humanity and the impact that this makes on real people and real communities. That's obviously the top priority. But the political calculus is important too for the future. And I think it does reputational harm to all of those who permit it. And, by extension, that's Stephen Miller and Donald Trump and this crew, the world of Kristi Noem and this sort of murderer's row of horrible. They will all be affected, I think, politically as well. So smash the like button in the world of YouTube. You've got to smash it like a boss.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Give us a thumbs up. It helps us. It costs you nothing, and it does help us stay in feeds that we otherwise wouldn't be in. And now a little talk to a Pulitzer Prize winner. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This guy is the winner of the Pulitzer Prize for investigative reporting. He's a best-selling author, many books on Trump, many books on the wealthy and how society has really been set up, American society, to favor in many ways, from tax codes and other methodologies, the wealthiest Americans. He's gone on to found DCReport.org, and now he's a professor at RIT in Rochester. How about it for the great David Cay Johnston, everyone?
Hello, Mark.
Hello, sir. I have a question that I'll get to. I'll just kind of tease it out, which is a question about taxing the rich and how that might actually be. I'm mentioning this because there was a big proposal, as you know, in France to do this, and it just went down. But it seems as though in Europe that conversation is getting louder and louder. So I'm going to revisit that with you in a moment. But first, I want to talk about what's happening with this administration and the shutdown and the way in which Trump seems to just be singing the same refrain over and over. It's the Democrats, the Democrats, the Democrats. He literally said the Democrats are responsible for it all. Polling suggests that that's not quite getting through to the American people, and that increasingly the GOP is going to bear some political responsibility on this issue.
Well, given that the Republicans control the White House, the House, and the Senate, it's a little hard to make that argument. And I would point out that the Inflation Reduction Act, the most significant piece of legislation in the Biden administration, Nancy Pelosi got through the House when she had a majority of, I believe, 3 votes. The most of the period this year, the Democrats were behind, I think it's by 5 votes, but it was 3 or more throughout that period. And it's their inability in the Republican side to be unified. And you're seeing bit by bit parts of the MAGAverse come apart. For example, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a wealthy woman who represents a really poor district, closing the government and taking away the tax credits for the poor and the working poor as a way to kill the Affordable Care Act. The problem with killing the Affordable Care Act is that if you narrow the number of people who have access to medical care, your cost per person goes up. And that means that those people who have health insurance, like you and me, we're going to pay more to make up for this unless we get rid of excess capacity, remove doctors and stuff. We don't have an excess capacity problem. The bizarre thing the Democrats seem utterly incapable of doing is explaining to the American public that universal care is cheaper. And give you my favorite little number here. If we had the French healthcare system, which is every study I've ever read on the quality of healthcare says the French have the best system in the world. I've used it once. I was very impressed. I have friends who've used it for various reasons. First-rate care, you get seen quicker than here. Nobody goes bankrupt because of medical bills. Nobody is forced into premature retirement because they get an injury and they don't have the money to get their injury properly repaired. If we had the French medical system, it would save an amount of money equal to all the income taxes paid by everyone who makes under $600,000 a year. So unless you make over $600,000 a year, at least on paper, statistically, you could stop paying income taxes. Now, as a practical matter, it probably set the threshold for income taxes, which for a married couple right now is right around $30,000. We could probably raise it to somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000. But that's how much waste there is. Moving to the French system would cause some problems. An awful lot of people who are employed as clerks, all that paperwork you have to fill out and fight with just to get paid for routine things, those people would be gone, and we would have to find a way to create new jobs for them or support them in some way. But we're ridiculously overspending on healthcare. And I literally had one of Ronald Reagan's advisors, Norman Toure, who's dead now, some years ago when he and I were on a panel in Washington, D.C., and I recommended this idea. And he went, "Oh, you want to put all of those inner city mothers who work at insurance companies out of work." And of course, that was code for black. And I said, "Yeah, Norman, in the same way that I'm not in favor of eliminating mechanized earth moving equipment and saying we're going to construct buildings by digging the basements with shovels. But if you want to create jobs that way, we could do that. And we could maybe, if that doesn't create enough jobs, we could go from shovels to garden trowels and keep going till we get down to moving earth with Demitasse spoons." If you approach thoughtfully and follow the logic of the Republican opposition to universal health care, we don't want colored people to have health care, and that's their word, colored, not mine, then that's where you end up. You end up with absurdities and ridiculousness and excess costs and worse health and shorter lives. And the rest of the modern world, longevity is increasing. We've been increasing slower than the rest of the world. And now for some demographic groups, including white, middle-aged, blue-collar men, we're going backwards. Lives are getting shorter.
It's so true that the American system is so broken. And even Obamacare, ACA, I had an issue with because it keeps the insurance companies in the game. Now, I understand why, because you have to make, in this setup, you have to make a deal with the insurance companies because there's so much money and they have really bought a lot of American politics. But the idea that there even exists this middleman, I'll just use it kind of generally, the insurance companies are just taking a piece. I mean, they are an added part of the American healthcare system, David, that need not exist. In the system that you're describing, they wouldn't exist.
Health insurance is an absolutely superfluous business. So, by the way, is land title insurance. We can talk about that another day, because instead of paying $1,000 as I'm about to pay for a land title insurance, literally banks would give it away if we changed the system. And this is the health insurance. An insurance company's business is to try and not pay claims. That's how they make a profit. I teach my students the difference between a bank and an insurance company is you make a deposit. We call a deposit at the bank a premium at the insurance company. At the bank, you get your money back whenever you ask, unless you sign some agreement to tie your money up. Maybe you get a higher interest rate. At the insurance company, it's on event. And the issue is the insurance company decides what the event is, not you. And, you know, we had a Dr. Linda Pino, a Kentucky physician who testified under oath to Congress, 30 years ago now almost, that every time she killed someone by finding a way to deny the health care they needed, she got a bonus. And she testified about how she denied a heart transplant to a man in California, where, by the way, she was not licensed to practice medicine. And her insurance company paid her a bonus. This got almost no coverage at the time. It's in my book, Free Lunch. But this was, remember, the Republicans used to say, well, if you have socialized medicine, you'll have death panels. We have death panels, corporate death panels. And if we're going to have somebody decide who can live and die, I think I'd rather have the government decide that than a corporation motivated by profit. But beyond that, it is just nutty to say we're going to deny health care to people. I wrote years ago about a man, I'm trying to remember who put me onto it. There was a man in Idaho whose hand got smashed in a machine at work. And workers' comp in Idaho took the position that their only obligation was to sort of patch him up and make sure that he wouldn't lose his hand to infection. They would not pay the $15,000 surgical fee, so there would have been other fees on top of that, for surgery so he could go back to work. Well, that means that the good conservative Republican citizens of Idaho had decided to turn this man from a taxpayer into a tax eater because he went on disability. And the denying health care to people for profit is a morally impossible situation to justify. I mean, Adam Smith told us about this in 1755, his first book, The Theory of Our Moral Sentiments. And it's essentially about this curious thing about the human condition. We honor and admire wealthy people just for having money. And we despise poor people for what he called their mean condition. And he's not talking about the numerical mean. He means nasty, horrible lives. And it's at the bottom, at the end of the day, this is a moral issue. And the ACA was a political, reasonable way to deal with what could be done, because politics is the art of the possible. But things have gotten so bad, maybe we can finally get universal, no out-of-pocket health care. And if we did, it would help bring costs down. There are lots of doctors who would have been against this not many years ago, but who are all fed up now with they have the same paperwork problem you have, but instead of, once a month for something, it's every single day.
No, they've had to put it.
Hey, how much do you like dealing with the insurance company, doc?
Yeah, they've had to build in bureaucracies to their own practices, and many just aren't doing it anymore. That's exactly right. And so we get to the SNAP benefits, which are adjacent to this, in addition to the ACA subsidies. And the SNAP benefits seem to reflect in the resistance to pay SNAP benefits, the resistance to even break the reserve fund to stop the bleeding during this period of the government shutdown. That resistance is so consistent with the narrative that you're describing, which it seems so, it's cruel to the point, it's like out of an old Charles Dickens story, it's so villainous. I don't quite understand how they can even argue. It seems like an odd argument to make.
Well, and it's part of a larger theme that's been missed. Donald Trump said again and again in his campaign in 2015 and 16, wages are too high. seriously, wages are too high. That should tell you a lot of what you need to know. And yet people who have miserable wages and will tell you their wages aren't so good, a lot of them support Donald Trump. And that goes to his argument, I love the poorly educated because they don't understand what I'm up to. In the case of SNAP benefits, the question we ought to be asking first and foremost is, why do we have 42 million Americans on supplemental nutrition assistance and another 5 or 6 million on women, infants, and children? So almost 50 million people in total in a country of 340 million people. That's 1 in 7. Well, the reason is the minimum wage has been fixed at $7.25 an hour since January 1 of 2009, when George Bush was still president. If you're a wait staff person, a bartender, a waitress or a waiter, anybody who gets tips, your minimum wage, unless you live in a place like California or New York with a separate state law, is $2.13 an hour. And the inflation effect of that is, compared to 1993, it's 94 cents an hour today, 94-cent minimum wage. And Donald Trump says that's too high. And by the way it gets made up is from $2.13 to $7.25. That's $5 an hour, roughly. The first $5 an hour you get in tips go to meet the $7.25 an hour minimum. And the idea that raising the minimum wage will ruin jobs has been disproven in numerous ways, but one is a great one is San Jose. San Jose spreads out like a cancer cell across the Santa Clara Valley, with all these little towns, Los Gatos and Campbell and Santa Clara, rubbing up against it in various ways. And San Jose imposed a higher minimum wage than the state of California. So how many people going out to dinner, for waiters and waitresses and bartenders, so how many people going out to dinner said, oh, we don't want to pay more for the workers, so we're going to drive out past the city boundary and we'll go to dinner in Saratoga or in Sunnyvale? Nobody. The data is very clear. Nobody. So why are so many people of modest means listening to a party and a president who want to take away their health care, want to take away any food benefits, want their wages to go down or at least not rise? It tells you how much Americans are failing in their duty to be citizens and to understand our democracy so that we can govern ourselves well.
Sadly, I think it's even more just even understanding basic policy on issues that directly affect them, But yeah. I would also say that, it's interesting as you're talking about the way in which these monies are spread across communities. Walmart, for example, takes a huge hit with these SNAP benefits lapsing. Walmart is a huge beneficiary. They get 25% of all SNAP beneficiaries' money. So,
right. Many of their employees are on SNAP.
That's right.
They get benefits because Walmart is not required to pay a living wage. And when some people say, well, my business would fail if I had to pay a living wage, well, then, I would argue your business should fail. I mean, if you carry down the argument that I can't afford to pay my workers, then bring back slavery. And lo and behold, what do we find out? There are various Republicans out there in the background through chat rooms and other things who are saying, yeah, let's have slavery. The Republican Party ran as its candidate for governor of North Carolina, a man who said, yeah, I want to own a few slaves. He's black, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. That was an extraordinary thing. I'd forgotten about that moment.
By the way, there were some black people prior to the Civil War who owned slaves. It's not historically unprecedented in the United States.
So this brings me now to a question I can just digress to. It's not America yet, but it's been talked about. And in Europe, the momentum behind a tax on the wealthiest is really something that seems to have brought them to the point that it may happen. It was just voted down in France by a close margin. And the idea would be that you tax the wealthiest who have benefited the most, is the thinking. I think it's a reasonable kind of thinking. And in so doing, at even a very small rate, and this is stuff you've written chapter and verse on literally, and you can tell us the rate, you can offset so much of these weights on society, and you can permit so much, including a kind of socialized medicine, or a kind of medicine that we could all enjoy at either widely discounted or for free. So my question to you is, has that time come, and might that be something that we could see in America as you kind of see the way in which public sentiment is shifting?
If you're a non-tax paying billionaire, you're going to love this idea. And it may shock you to hear that, but the reason is it won't work. It won't work. And first of all, I encourage your audience to read the book review I have at the Washington Monthly magazine that went up yesterday. It's on my Facebook page, facebook.com/David Cay, one word. The Washington Monthly has it. I mean, it's easy to find. Do a Google search with my name and Washington Monthly in quotes. The way the tax laws are written, Jeff Bezos qualified for Bill Clinton's child tax credit because under the tax law, he is a pauper. How do gazillionaires pose as paupers to the government? It's the way the law is written. You can't cure this, however, for a wealth tax, because if you own your wealth in, as Bezos does, publicly traded shares of Amazon, we know how much they're worth. We can calculate that. But most very wealthy people don't hold their money that way. They are in partnerships that are layered upon layered upon layered. So when the head of Ernst & Young, one of the big four accounting firms, came home and told his wife, "I'm leaving you," and tried to, told her that all he could afford was $5,000 a month for her, and the next door neighbor set her straight about her husband has to be rich, they end up in court, and records are introduced into this court proceeding showing that he's actually worth $50 million. The judge, by the way, gave the wife 60% of it because of his bad conduct. But he's probably worth even much more than that. Very wealthy people organize their wealth so that they don't appear to be as wealthy as they are. There are many more billionaires in this country than Forbes magazine imagines. It's hard to value things. If you are invested in an investment pool that you can't cash out of for 7 years, how much is it worth today? It won't work. Here's
the valuations I saw as a problem. They want to also, David, it's kind of what you're talking about. They want to tax assets that are not yet liquidated. So you're taxing value, which is
non-realized assets. But here's the way to solve this problem. And my next book will go into this and show how it's actually very simple. You and I, and almost everybody listening to this show, gets a wage or a pension check, and the government takes the taxes out of it before you get paid. Wealthy people just borrow against themselves. You can borrow against yourself right now for 4.53%. That's the government set minimum standard. The lowest tax you would pay if you're a super wealthy person is 23.8%. Why in the world would you pay 24% when you could pay less than 5%? You just borrow against your own money. And because your wealth is growing faster than you could ever spend it, you have this tax-free source of money. The solution to this is you can't borrow against your assets for your lifestyle. Every time you want $1, you have to have the taxes withheld. America has two tax systems, separate and unequal. One is for wage earners and their like, and the other is for business owners, particularly real estate owners. And so what you want to do is make sure that any income you take, you want to buy a corporate jet, here it is. You got to pay the taxes on it. You want to buy your 9th mansion, the average billionaire owns 12 mansions. You're going to have to pay taxes before you can acquire your next mansion. And these are solvable problems. But unfortunately, a lot of people who don't understand tax or accounting or valuation, which, they're not easy. I've spent decades learning these things. And I learn new things all the time, by the way, still. We need a system that recognizes how this works. Then the other thing we have to end is this practice that if you want to make a charitable gift, first of all, for 95% of Americans under Trump's tax law, you won't get a tax deduction for it. You've been made ineligible for it. 95% of Americans. Secondly, if you do qualify, you can only give away a share of your income, a certain amount if it's to a private foundation, another a little bit more to a public charity. But when you die, you can give all of it away to a private foundation, never pay any taxes, which means we, the rest of us, whose society made your wealth possible, never get a dime, and your heirs get to decide how your money will be spent. You should be able to give away all your money when you die. I don't have any problem with that, but you should only get a tax deduction for 10% of the gift. You should pay taxes on your gains when you die.
Sure. And the idea or the argument from those who have a lot is, hey, I already paid taxes on that, but you're suggesting...
Which is nonsense.
Yeah,
absolute nonsense.
Right.
It's simply not true. I've shot that down in books and articles, and there's studies about it. There are pieces by academic economists, tax economists, that it's just nonsense. Bill Gates is a perfect example. Bill Gates started Microsoft with a loan from his parents of $50,000, a tax-free loan. So his basis in Microsoft stock, for all practical purposes, is zero. And Bill Gates, by the way, says, if we had a properly designed tax system, my fortune would be 1/3 the size that it is. At 1/3 the size, he'd still have somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 billion. So, you don't need to worry about him.
Wow. That's just wild, by the way, that the average billionaire has 12 residences. That's a wild statistic.
Yeah, it's from one of the companies that issues reports every year on billionaires, and they keep reporting this year after year when they survey people. It's 12 houses.
I want to quickly pivot to what's happening at the White House in sort of a superficial way, but I think, and I'm wondering if you agree with me, that there's a grift going on, and there's certainly a pay-to-play going on. There's certainly the shingle has been hung out since hour one at the White House. But the building of the ballroom, the redesign of that bathroom, I mean, that's just a typical crap. We don't even hear where that money came from. Presumably it's taxpayer money, et cetera. But more to the point, the ballroom, $200 million, $250 million, $300 million, $350 million. I mean, I don't know what they're building this ballroom out of, but it feels like it's cocaine bricks or something that is just insanely inflating the number, and which is why I think there are a couple of things going on that I want your reaction to. One is just the notion that, Trump can hatch this and he can just power it through, which he's done. He's completely demolished the East Wing to allow for this, breaking the promise he made that he wasn't going to touch the original structure. But also, and this is the point that I think is sort of the darker one, there's something going on here with that money. There's way more money, as I say, than should be allocated for something this size. I think. Maybe you can speak to this.
Well, there's no building I know of that costs $3,000 a square foot to build, particularly when most of it's a wide open space for dancing, a ballroom. That's just absurd. And so, one, don't believe the numbers here. Two, yes, Donald Trump is selling pardons. I mean, he's pardoned sexual predators. He just pardoned a guy who was involved in terrorist financing. And when Norah O'Donnell asked him about it on 60 Minutes, he went, I don't know anything about it. I don't know the guy. You pardoned him and you don't know anything? First of all, I don't believe you don't know anything. But secondly, you shouldn't be pardoning people if you don't know what the case is.
Well, it was the thing that he accused Biden of, which is that Biden didn't even know who he was pardoning. Right. He was doing it with an auto pen and he was out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And at the same time, by the way, Trump claimed when he was in his first term that he didn't even have to issue a written pardon. If he just said you're pardoned, you're pardoned. So Donald Trump's whole presidency is a grift. His family is raking in enormous sums of money. I mean, we're not talking about the kind of money that Don Rostenkowski, when he headed the House Ways and Means Committee, went to prison for. It was either $8,000 or $16,000. We've had all sorts of members of Congress. Look at Senator Bob Menendez, the Democrat from New Jersey. We're talking about a couple $100,000. We're talking here about literally billions of dollars to the Trump family. And the Republicans just go, I don't know anything about that. Mike Johnson, I don't know anything about that. The level of corruption, I mean, it's worse than I ever imagined it would be. And I was writing stories in the New York Times 25 years ago, quoting people saying we have a fundamental moral breakdown going on at the top of our society that you can see best in the law and accounting professions. And lots of evidence of that. And now, so the president is selling pardons to vicious criminals, people who've attacked police officers, child rapists, people who arrange financing for drug lords and terrorist organizations. Where's the moral outrage from John Q. Citizen? Where are the pastors and the rabbis and the imams saying to their congregations, this is immoral, this is wrong? We've really fundamentally lost something that you have to have a democracy. You have to have a sense of right and wrong and decency. We need to recognize, the genius of Mahatma Gandhi. He didn't take guns up against the British, which the Indians could have done, push the British out. He defeated them. Took a long time, but he defeated them with a moral campaign. And the Democrats have got to find a way, I think, to sell this. I mean, they're searching around. And the elections that are going on today in a number of places, pay close attention to the margins by which people win. Pay close attention to how well Abigail Spanberger does in Virginia, a state that's purplish, turning blue a little bit, but purplish. Pay attention to by how big the margin is for Mamdani in New York City. And then after the election, by the way, the thing with Mamdani will be, can you deliver on what you said? He's limited himself to items where the mayor actually has power to do things, but he has to have money. He'll have to redistribute budgets to do it. But if he delivers, I think there's an important message for the Democrats. If you just run on Donald is bad, Donald is corrupt, Donald is incompetent, you're not going to turn people. What you want to run on is, that's true, and here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to improve wages. We're going to lower costs. We're going to get rid of the superfluous healthcare industry, and you're still going to get to see the doctor of your choice.
Yeah, there have to be some populist notions in there, and even some of Mamdani's stuff is, he's going to need a little help from Albany. He's going to need a little help from the state, maybe on taxes or this sort of thing, to help pay for what he's talking about. And he's going to have
Donald Trump do everything he can to tie him up and make life difficult.
That is so true. I wanted to play David real quick, but we're out of time, but I wanted him to, because he referenced the Mike Johnson, MAGA Mike, doing his, I don't know anything about it. Gosh, I just heard about that. Wow. You'll have to ask. Can you have that supercut? This is it. This is what David's talking about. When asked about the pardon of the Binance head, it was completely corrupt, and any number of other things. Here is what Mike Johnson had to say over and over.
I don't know anything about that. I didn't see the interview. You have to ask the president about that. I don't know any of the details of that yet. I just heard about that literally. I was walking in. I don't know the details about that. I've just read it. I didn't talk with him about that. I don't know the latest developments. That's first I've heard of that. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what you're talking about with the children. I haven't seen that, so I'm not going to comment on it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The question to ask him after so many of these would be to say, Speaker Johnson, you have now said X number of times about issues I don't know. Why should you be in that job? You apparently aren't working.
There is that. David, thank you for your time every week. Such a pleasure. We'll link to this piece.
I hope people read it. It's just a book review. It's not very long, but it will teach you a great deal about taxes in America and what's really going on. And I'm going to just point out one thing to intrigue people. You might think that because of all the talk in America about taxes are bad, taxes are too high. I was on overseas TV today with a Republican strategist. We have to lower taxes. That's the number one most important thing. We founded this country for the very purpose, the Constitution of this country, the Second American Republic. The reason we established the Constitution is first and foremost so we could tax ourselves. That's the primary purpose of this country's creation, was to tax ourselves. And once you understand that and why, boy, you start to see the world in a very different way. Very cool. All right, we'll link to the piece. Thanks, David. See you next week. David Cay Johnston. Thank you, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shadow Stevens. This is the Mark Thompson Show. Keep it to yourself.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Don't keep it to yourself. Share it across the universe. Help us with sharing, for example, the conversation with David Cay Johnston. You can share it on your Substack, your YouTube page. Everybody's got a what is that other stuff? The X platform, Tony. What is the other stuff they've got? The kids have the
Twitch and Rumble.
Yeah,
and,
Twitch.
And
Share it on your Twitch, man.
Instagram, Snap.
Yeah, your Instagram. Gram it, man. IG it.
Just not Facebook. No one uses that anymore.
TikTok. You can talk it. Or you can tick it. Share it. Yeah. I could listen to David all day. Thanks, David. I agree. It's such a... I mean, for me to lay out like I do and just let him speak is so difficult because I want to quickly follow up on stuff. But, you know, I'm from Denmark, says Hanne Jefferson, who's an OG of the show, believe it or not. Hanne's been with us for, I think, since the radio station. I'm from Denmark. We have a social democracy. Madani wants too much away. We don't have free child care, but it is more reasonable than the U.S. We have free medical care and education. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what his list of wishes will bring. I think they bring attention, and I think he gets some of it done, you know. But I know nothing. I see nothing. Sergeant Schultz, that's right, from the old Hogan's Heroes. Mike Johnson is very Sergeant Schultz. That's a very good read, Nullifidian. Show a Republican how millionaires and billionaires are flourishing under GOP regimes and corporations just fine. They just do stock buybacks. Where is the pain on the right? Scott Jennings. Yeah. Somebody was telling me something about Scott Jennings. Is he getting his own? What is the story with that? Did you see that, Tony? Scott Jennings is doing something. Kim, did you see it?
No, but I'll look it up.
Look it up. There's some new plan. I think he may get his own show or late night show or something. This from Richard Delamater. Mark is a genius from the future. No, really. Yes. Thank you. I am a genius. And it takes a futurist like Richard Delamater to see that I am geniusing all the time.
There is a
what is the Scott?
Press release from Salem Media Group. Yeah. They're announcing the launch of the Scott Jennings Show as a new daily program.
That's it. Yeah.
What? It started in July over the summer, and it is on the Salem Radio Network. So it's another conservative talk show that you can.
No.
Oh, that's it. The Scott Jennings Show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know much about Scott Jennings. I only see him on the CNN stuff, but I think he's best when he's on those panels. Like,
Jennings, known to millions as the rare conservative who wins debates inside the lion's den of CNN, will bring his signature fire and facts to the Salem lineup.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
I know. I'm just
constantly win debates. No.
It's a 1 hour show, too. So
wow.
Must
be
be
a lot of Scott Jennings. That's a lot of smug. He really does smug like nobody else. He sits there and he lays on smug. I wish I had that. It's not easy. He lays on that smugness while other people are talking, and then while he's talking, it's snide smugness. And so, in fact, they should call the show the Snide Smugness Show. Yeah. Scott Jennings. It's the Snide Smugness Show with Scott Jennings. A quick cup of coffee before I talk to Jefferson Graham. Tony's called up his podcast, too. I don't need to know too much about Scott Jennings.
Sorry, just seeing guests.
No, I know. I love that you've called it up.
So it's a 1 hour show with guests. So, you know.
There you go.
I've already had too much of that guy on CNN. I don't need any more of him. It's done.
Someone did this to spoil our Christmas.
It spoiled my Christmas. Maybe he has a special Christmas smugness stocking stuffer. Peacefully Resist is the mug that I'm using today. It's at getmarkmerch.com. The new mug line is out. There's our logo on the back. I do like the new big handle, which is, and there it is, pet approved. People have sent us pictures of their pets with the T-shirt, cats and dogs. And we told you some of our merch has made it into Asia, too. But there's the Peacefully Resist mug. You can have one just like the one I'm drinking from.
Put that coffee down.
All right, 1 second. Really, really cool. All right. And you can get the coffee at CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. It's the best coffee on earth. I'll just mention this quickly. Truly, this is the best coffee on earth. It is a boutique roastery. So this is not some discounted line of beans that's been lying around for a few months. These are all freshly grown, freshly harvested, and hand roasted. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Use our discount code MarkT at checkout for 10% off anything. They have wonderful teas, wonderful spices also. So check it all out and take advantage of our discount. 10% off at discount coded MarkT. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com, MarkT for 10% off.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I saw his latest episode on his YouTube channel, which is Photo Walks TV. Jefferson Graham was at the Golden Gate Bridge, but it was a great historical thing. He had multiple experts. I really enjoyed it, so I encourage you to check it out. Here he is, Jefferson Graham, everyone, the host of that show.
Well, hello
He's
again.
Kind of our tech voice. We do kind of a Tech Tuesday thing. He does a lot of consumer stuff. You wrote for USA Today for many years on technology and consumer technologies. But you did a great job with that latest Photo Walks TV thing, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's one of my favorites. If everybody who's watching today would tune in, it would make me the happiest guy in the world. Spent a lot of time on it. And, I just don't think we really think enough about what an incredible bridge this is, and how they built this thing. And beyond the bridge is the whole park area around there, 800 acres of just one of the greatest, most beautiful parks in the world. So you could really spend a wonderful day there. And if you're really up for it, walk across the bridge, climb up in the Marin. So many fun things to do. And then, of course, ride in the seaplane over the Golden Gate Bridge, which I did.
That's what you did. And you asked the question to this dude, that's the seaplane operator.
Yeah.
You asked the question I wanted to ask, which is, have there ever been any accidents with the seaplane? Have there ever been any, isn't it a little dangerous? And his view was, well, he had a 100% safety record. And he says, anything goes wrong, we just land it right on the water. I mean, it's not a problem.
Right. If the motor falls out, we go, whatever. And then right.
Before September 11th, we used to be able to take the KGO jet copter underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. That was pretty fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. The best I've done is go on a boat under the bridge.
Yeah. I used to drive that bridge multiple times every day. Lived in Marin and worked in the city. Beautiful. I think it's the most beautiful commute in America. I mean, I haven't taken every commute, but pretty damn gorgeous.
Yeah.
Anyway, congratulations on that. Give me some news I can use.
Okay. Well, I want to tell you, I last saw you 4 weeks ago before I started my big semi-quincentennial East Coast tour for Photo Walks. I produced 5 episodes from Boston to DC, and I had some tech issues, starting with when I got to LAX and I went through TSA and I reached into my pocket and there were no keys. There were no keys. What happened to my keys? Well, I'd left them in the Lyft car, the Lyft as in Lyft and Uber. And once I got through the gate, there was a text message from the Lyft guy saying, I found your keys. May I bring them over to you?
Wow.
Well, that was really nice of you to say, but here at the airport, I don't think that's going to work so well. So I arranged for him to go take them to our neighbor's house and drop them in the mailbox. I only got charged $25 for this service, which is fine. I was more than happy to pay it.
Sure, of course.
So that was the first snafu. Then the second one. The second one.
What else went wrong, Jefferson Graham?
This is great. Okay, so I went to Philadelphia. What do people do when they go to Philadelphia, Mark?
Liberty Bell, Rocky Steps, what? Yeah, Rocky Stairs. Yeah.
So I ran up the steps, and and that was great. And then when I got,
made it up all the steps without stopping.
Yeah,
you ran all the way up those steps without stopping.
It's not a lot of steps.
How many steps is it?
I think it's 70. It's not that bad.
All right, still impressed.
Particularly when you got in your brain, you're going dun 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 dun.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So I got to the top, and I wanted to get a second shot of me rising to the top. So I put the phone into my tripod, and it got me coming up. But it was a windy day, and so I felt like a champ. But then I felt like a chump when the tripod fell right on the ground and cracked this little thing into smithereens. There's so many cracks in this iPhone, and Apple had said stronger than ever. Gorilla Glass, 4 times stronger.
No,
not for
you're
me.
saying not so much. So what happened? Do you have it insured or whatever that is? You can go back and exchange it.
No, but also just do know it's a loaner from Apple. So
wow,
it doesn't come with insurance.
It's a loaner, but because you're a tech guru.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. So did you contact them?
But if other people had bought it and paid for Apple Care, it would cost $29 to get it fixed. If you don't get Apple Care, it's $379.
It's $79. Is that what you said?
$379.
You dropped it. Okay. So wow. Yeah. That's,
so it's a lot of money. But I haven't cracked a phone in a lot of years. So if they I thought they did get a lot better. And I don't know what's going on with this one, but a lady at CNET who reports for them, she just did an article about how it fell out of her pocket and smashed up as well.
Wow, I'm concerned now. Huh.
Excuse the cough.
Show him the Rocky steps, Tony. Let's see. He's 70 steps. I think it's still pretty impressive that Jefferson Graham made it. You know, I've spent time with Jefferson Graham. He doesn't look like he could make it to the first landing to me. But I just...
What? Very nice of you to say.
What else can you tell me?
So then I'm in Boston, and I'm doing a time lapse of Samuel Adams outside Faneuil Hall, and I get a text message from my wife saying, "Your wife lost her phone. I have her phone." And I said, "Huh? What's this all about?" And it says, "I'm in Faneuil Hall. Come inside and get the phone." It sounded like a scam to me, but I said, okay. I went in and I walked to this booth, and the lady hands me Ruth's phone. And she hands me Ruth's phone. And I said to her, how did you contact me? How did any of this happen? Well, she said, my wife forgot to lock her phone, had left it on so that everything was there. And she went into the chat history, and I was at the top of the page. And so she sent me a note.
I am telling you, first of all, you people sound like an absolute mess to travel with. Secondly,
what?
I can't believe your wife left the phone open. That could have been incredibly vulnerable, right?
She went to the gift shop. She's looking around, and she puts it down or whatever. And
any of us could have done it. I'm kind of teasing. Any of us could have I've made that mistake before.
It happens to her all the time. So. I said, okay, now I'm buying you the little thing that goes around your neck, and you're going to wear the phone every day. So no, I don't like that. I said, no, you're going to wear it. It's the last thing.
It's strapped to you. Do you understand that? I never want to hear that you've lost your phone again.
So now we're in New York, and we're outside the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and we're walking away from the museum, and she goes, "Can't find my phone." I said, "Oh no, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this." And she says, "No, I can't find my phone." So okay, so we went back to the museum. We figured out that we got a hot dog. We sat down eating the hot dog. She put it down, and somebody had picked up the phone, took it inside the Metropolitan Museum, and gave it to Lost and Found.
Wow!
And we got it back.
You guys lose a lot of stuff, but you're very lucky that you run into good people who return it.
Then, I don't know how many of your viewers and listeners have experience with Amtrak trains. So the Amtrak train is incredible on the East Coast. It just flies, and you don't have to get to you don't have to get to the train station 2 hours ahead of time, and you don't have to go through TSA. You just get on the train. The only snag is that when they stop at your stop, they say, "Hurry, get off, get off. You only have a minute. Get off now." And if you don't get off,
let me guess, your wife left her phone behind.
No. If you don't get off, you're going to end up in Delaware.
Sure.
So now we're in Washington, D.C. And I picked up my suitcase, her suitcase, my backpack, her backpack, a tote bag, 3 coats, but I left my tripod behind.
Oh.
My $700 beloved tripod.
You're not getting that back, promise.
No. I went to Lost and Found at the Amtrak station. I couldn't even get the lady to look up at me. She said, go to lostandfound.com or some crazy website. Yeah. And you start going in there, and it wouldn't even let you type in that it was a tripod. They give you like a drop down.
Oh,
menu.
I see. Has to be one of these options. I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's
crazy.
That,
that's my trip. I think we lost a lot of money on this trip.
Well, I'll look forward to the video of it. But if you leave something on,
there'll be several of them. There's going to be 5 of them. Let me just say, really interesting. What do they talk about back there? The founding fathers, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, a tyrannical king that they said, enough. So that's what we're celebrating.
Yeah. I mean, you can celebrate it. Again, it seems to be increasingly just conversation and not reflected in the government we have. But we'll see. I mean, perhaps things will...
Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Okay. We'll look forward to all of those shows that will be birthed from that visit. But now, the episode of Photo Walks TV is brilliant. So I encourage people to go over there to Photo Walks TV and check out the Golden Gate Bridge and ways to photograph it, ways to visit it, just like great vantage points. There are all kinds of different vantage points from on the Golden Gate Bridge, and he talks to experts, and he himself, Jefferson Graham, is an expert on it. But also what you're seeing is black and white archival footage of the way it was built, and they built it down to the millimeter without any kind of calculator. Everything was done with manual calculations, and it's done to perfection. It's a remarkable feat of human achievement, and it is a spectacularly visual monument to all of that achievement. Great job on that, Jeff. Nice
Mark,
job.
just one last thing. Remember that you said you commuted from Marin. So what was life like there before the bridge when you lived in Sausalito and Tiburon and Napa and all that stuff? How did you get to the city?
Yeah.
It must have been pretty intense.
Yeah, after the quake, the Bay Bridge was closed. You couldn't go over because a portion of the Bay Bridge had collapsed. The Bay Bridge connects San Francisco to Oakland, to the East Bay.
Oakland and Berkeley, yeah.
Yeah, so I had a therapist. That'll come as no surprise to most people. I had a therapist appointment. He was in Berkeley. And so I had to drive up to the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge. There's another bridge that links Marin to the East Bay and then back down and then back over that way. But the answer is here in the chat. My grandfather took a train from San Rafael to Sausalito and then took a boat to San Francisco. Imagine that. Wow.
Yeah, well, those boats are still running.
Yeah, they sure are. In fact, those boats are subsidized by the Golden Gate Bridge toll because I don't think they quite make enough to, make it happen. But
my grandparents were there on opening day of the Golden Gate Bridge and among the first to walk across it.
Wow.
Kim, how are you?
That's
that cool?
Pretty cool brag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, but they were.
Are they still around, Kim?
No, they've gone. They're past. Yeah.
11 men died while building the Golden Gate Bridge, something which you do note in your episode. All right, I'm out of time. Love speaking with you. Find them, Photo Walks TV, subscribe, all that stuff. And until next time, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
Jefferson Graham, everybody. Right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It is getting to that time, but we're not there yet.
It's good because we haven't really talked about the thumbnail of the show. So we need to really hit that one, I think, before we go.
We sure do. And there is a degree of evil that's growing in this administration. Corruption, recrimination, revenge. And one of the clever ways, and when I say clever, I mean evil clever, that the administration has found a kind of retribution, revenge, a method of attack on the president's critics as they see his adversaries lining up in any way. There is a new area of exploitation when it comes to exploiting a part of the law that can be turned on Trump's adversaries and GOP adversaries. And here, after that lengthy preamble, is what I mean. There is a housing mortgage regulator, and we've reported on him. He's this guy Bill Pulte, I think is how he says his last name, and he is this outspoken voice in support of Trump, and more to the point, he is there at the Federal Housing Finance Agency, so he has access to all this mortgage information, and he's looking for any way in which any American who is a critic of President Trump exists with a mortgage and mortgage applications that might not be legally kosher. So he's looking for any little thing on any of these mortgage applications that don't work, and then he will prosecute and persecute based on this information. So this guy, Bill Pulte, again, he's found this way to go after a lot of President Trump's critics, and high-profile critics too. Letitia James, Adam Schiff. You claim this is a vacation home, or you claim this is a primary residence. It's actually a vacation home. It's that sort of thing, okay? So, as you know, alongside this, the Trump administration has purged many watchdogs, many inspectors general across the board. So whenever you're getting rid of inspectors general, I think that bears a little bit of focus, because it means you're getting rid of the regulatory objective structure of government that is keeping an eye on corruption, that's keeping an eye on all sorts of stuff happening at the government level that is illegal or openly corrupt or both. So the internal watchdog for the U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency is one of these watchdogs that is getting anybody fired. Exactly. Removed from his role at a time when this housing regulator, who I mentioned to you, Bill Pulte, is playing this role in President Trump's targeting of enemies or perceived political enemies.
I wonder what he did to get fired. Like, what did he say? Or did they just not want him there generally, or did he do something?
Right. I mean, did he speak up is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's a lot of this, as you know, the squeezing out of prosecutors from the Justice Department who wouldn't bring the case against Letitia James. And then they bring up this lawyer who was an insurance lawyer for Trump who'd never prosecuted a case in her life. She's the one who offered to the court papers of prosecution that had so many mistakes and flaws that the judge had to send it back and say, hey, you forgot this and this you can't sign yourself. It has to be signed by somebody else. It was crazy. It was like a first-year law student's submission to the court. So I don't know what happened here, but there was a termination, and apparently this ouster did follow or precede what was to have been a resistance on the part of this office, his office, to some of the stuff that was going on. So again, I don't know what he was actually blowing the whistle on, but the idea that he's being purged is the takeaway, because there's really no one now to restrain this Pulte, and Pulte is out of control. So look for more of these kinds of mortgage issues. It's been an instrument that they've used effectively against many of the political adversaries of Trump. So that continues. Pretty crazy. And it's of the moment. The inspectors general's offices are being purged of people who, just by virtue of the fact that they sit in the office, pose a threat to Trump, because so much is being done in a corrupt, illegal way. And so that continues. That's the latest on that.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I want to get a quick note on many of you who generously jump in on the chat. Ole Hansen points out something that we didn't get to, which is, yet another. I say we didn't get to it. I didn't get to Kim's news. Apologies. 64 people taken out in the Hegseth Trump rampage. This is the elimination of a lot of these boats, vessels that supposedly are carrying drugs. Ole Hansen says one boat had motor problems and was drifting, waiting for help. Wow.
There was a story I was reading earlier where Trump had said that the boats were full of fentanyl, and that when they blew them up, the fentanyl was floating all over the ocean. And someone else in the government said, no, it wasn't fentanyl. They're full of cocaine, sir. It was cocaine. Okay. Oh.
They were full of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen anything like it.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it was crazy. Nullifidian says, so if we lie to the government, it's felony, but if they lie to us, it's politics. That's according to Bill Murray, who apparently said that once. That's pretty great. It's a great quote. Shout out to Lucy McAllister again for a $20 super chat. Thank you.
Thanks,
also
Lucy.
want to give a shout out to Gloria Brown for a couple of bucks thrown in with a super
Big
chat.
shout
Thank
out.
you, Gloria.
Thanks,
Joan
Gloria.
Hollywood with a $10 super chat says, what a horrible Halloween to have ICE show up.
Yeah.
The worst that happened in our neighborhood was a kid got run over by a deer.
Oh, gosh.
Wow. That could be painful, but glad that was the only incident. West Theory says, I'm not exaggerating, but the Fuhrer started somewhere. Google won't allow his name in a super chat and slowly took his power. The people, read this for me, Kim. I must be reading it wrong.
I'm not exaggerating, but the Fuhrer started somewhere. Google won't allow his name in a super chat. So he said the Fuhrer instead of Trump because they won't allow his name, and slowly took his power, and the people let him.
I don't understand the Google won't allow his name in a super chat part,
Hitler.
Tony. What is
he
that?
can't put Hitler in a super chat.
Oh,
I
Hitler.
see,
Got it.
Hitler.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you,
Obviously.
Tony. Yeah,
Well,
okay.
It wasn't obvious to me. I thought he was talking about Trump.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
not you, but just
Oh.
the reason why those words get blocked.
Got it.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a depressed Canadian says, does David Cay Johnston think the Democrats are putting too much faith in the midterms being run fairly? I'll ask him that next week. Actually, Mo Kelly will be here to ask him that. Depressed Canadian with a $20 super chat. It's a good question. I mean,
Big shout out.
David hasn't traditionally been on board I think it's indisputably the case that there's been a lot of voter suppression, but when it comes to the manipulation of the vote, I don't know to what extent David is a signatory to those conspiracy theories or theories at all. But let's ask him, next week. Kim, will you make sure that Mo knows to ask him? Depressed Canadian also makes this point with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Depressed Canadian, for being so generous in your super chats. It's a sad reality that Marjorie Taylor Greene, being somewhat responsive to her constituents' concern, is seen as a sign of moderation in the GOP and, quote, breaking away from Trump. It's a bar that keeps getting lowered. Yeah, I mean, she's still this loathsome figure, but she is representing her constituents, as David had noted, in questions about what's going on and even in the government closure. I mean, she's pretty much saying, hey, we've got control of everything. How come we can't get this passed?
It's affecting her personally, the healthcare issue. So that's why she's, reasonable about it. Yeah.
She noted that she was she was being affected personally, as Kim says. Rev P says, of course, Mark is one of those Marin County hot tubbers. I did live in Marin. I did not have a hot tub, though. And I actually
Marin County to you.
I've never been never been in a hot tub in Marin County after all those years. I just reflected. I never really realized it until just now. Thank you. CC Ryder says to Jefferson Graham, this is why I still have a BlackBerry through Horizon. I've only used a BlackBerry phone for the last 17 years. Never had a cracked phone due to their Gorilla Glass. Dropped it from high places, too. CC Ryder with a... have you seen the BlackBerry movie? Like what happened to BlackBerry?
No.
BlackBerry was they were the... Remember, Obama had a BlackBerry. Everybody had a BlackBerry. That's a great movie, the BlackBerry movie. What happened to them? I mean, it's incredible when you think about it. They owned the market and BlackBerry saw it all completely evaporate. I don't remember much about it. There it is. BlackBerry, a film by Matt Johnson. You must see this movie. It's really good. I have to see it again. That's one of the beauties of having a crappy memory the way I do. I can just go watch it again and it'll be like seeing it for the first time. So anyway, you should, and you, CC Ryder, you should definitely see it since you still got a BlackBerry. Yeah. Pretty great. Anything else, Kim, that I need to address?
Yeah, two of the biggest headlines that since the show started. Yesterday the SNAP benefits were going to be paid at 50%, and then there was news that they would be all paid, and then Trump said, "We're not paying anything until the Democrats capitulate." And now the White House has had to come back and say, wait a minute, no, that's not true. We are paying the SNAP benefits. The White House had to go around him. But also... Yeah, no,
he was saying, I don't care what the court says. I'm not going to pay him. Right.
Yeah. And the White House is like, yeah, no, we can't do that. So another interesting story is the sexiest man of the year has come out today with People magazine. He hasn't come out, but the People magazines put him out.
It was Dick Cheney. He just sadly didn't live long enough to see himself become sexiest man.
David Cay Johnston. It was not Mark Thompson.
No.
Instead, it was actor Jonathan Bailey. Do you know who he is?
I do not. Tell me about Jonathan Bailey.
Jonathan Bailey has been named People magazine's 2025 sexiest man alive. He's the first openly gay man, so I guess he had to come out to hold the title.
That's not fake. That's real.
Wow.
He was in Wicked.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what else he's been in, but I know him from Wicked, and I know Tony's looking for a picture to put up.
Well, we definitely need a picture. I mean,
we have to have it. Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean,
and I think if you see his face, you may recognize him from Wicked.
Oh yeah,
he has some guns going on there. So yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that whole thing about
man alive. Woo!
Yeah, who was second? Tom wants to know. Is there a second? Did they publish a list? What? I was second sexiest man again this year. Rigged, says Tom. I don't know. I mean, I can't. Tough to argue with it, But I'm. Oh, is he in Bridgerton too? Is that?
Oh yeah, Bridgerton. That's right. Bridgerton, Wicked. Yeah.
Nella Fitting says, just some guy.
Just some guy. His quote is, Bailey says, obviously I'm incredibly flattered and it's completely absurd.
That is the right attitude to have. I'm completely flattered and it's all, Well, we must wrap up. I am going to do an interview, I think, in a moment that I'll leave behind when I leave later this week. Still looking forward to bringing on Mo from Thursday for 10 days, I think, something like that. Anyway. Hey, Tony, thank you for being here. You'll be with us tomorrow, though, right? You've got.
I'm here tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. And Kim, you'll be here, right?
Kim, how are you?
All right.
Can't get rid of me.
All right. And everybody watching, you'll all be here, right? So if you're watching or listening, we're hoping that you'll continue to watch and listen tomorrow. Tomorrow, John Rothman and more. And now, if you would please, a moment for...
I'm Shadow Stevens for The Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
We did a lot.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
Out of time. Thank you all. Bye-bye.